Hello, hello! Welcome to the stream. David Snowpack here from Snowpack Games. How's everybody doing? I can see we've got Ricardo on the overlay, rocking a Centurion helmet with perhaps a purple stripe thing. What are those stripe things called on Centurion helmets? And you know, looking pretty good. I'm just like a normal person in a green dress and blue shoes. I'm kind of boring. Whoa! Hello, Aleph 2050. You have got like a hooked sword and some braids, and you're looking pretty awesome. I see a couple more eyeballs in my eyeball counter. I don't really know who's there though, unless you leave a comment. So please leave a comment. You'll get a sweet character on the overlay. If you do, let me actually turn this into an overlay. I have to hit some buttons. By the way, this overlay is a Godot game that we made on stream maybe like 6 months ago at this point. Hello, the buddy Adrian. Welcome. You got a really sweet character too. Look at that big axe. What are the keys I have to press? What do I have to press to make this work? Oh, there we go. There's one of the keys. This one. This one. Okay, let me just get this overlay set up so it actually works as an overlay. And then we can get down to business, insofar as we do any business here. We don't do any business. Okay. Let me know if the overlay is not working. I hope it is. How is everybody doing? Aleph 2050 says, I've been starting Godot, but I've been too busy doing some art training. After getting out of GMS2, I assume that is Game Maker Studio 2. After failing to do something out of it, I wanted to switch to Godot since I don't like the way Yo-Yo Games is going. Interesting. How is Yo-Yo Games going that is unfavorable? I haven't heard anything about that. I mean, I only tangentially know anything about Game Maker, mostly from listening to the Coffee with Butterscotch podcast, which is really good. That's the podcast of Butterscotch Shenanigans, which is a game studio that's made a couple of really interesting games, but their podcast is really awesome. They're going subscription only. Okay, so like they had you could like pay a fee and get the whole thing for a while, and now you have to pay monthly. Eek. Like Adobe's going. Honestly, though, for me, Godot is subscription. Because I'm on the Godot Patreon and I pay them some amount every month. So like Godot is subscription software for me, and I like it that way. I'm happy to pay that subscription every month. Godot is free, and I think it might help me out getting started with a high-level interface. Yeah, Godot is great because it's got a lot of tools that make things really easy and let you get stuff done fast, but then you also have the ability to go really deep and do really advanced stuff if you want to, because you can always drop into C++, which of course we have done quite a lot on the stream, but we are not today. Today we're going to be working on GDScript stuff. Anyway, how's everyone else doing? How's it going, Ricardo? How's it going, Adrian? How are your guys' projects going? Adrian, I'm really curious to hear where your project is at, because every time you've shared a GIF, it looks really cool, because it's like you're doing like 3D characters in a 2D world, which seems super cool. It looks awesome. So I'm excited to see where that goes. And, you know, Ricardo, I don't remember what you said you were working on last, but I'd love to hear an update. GML wasn't bad, but Godot is on a whole new thing, a whole new level, a whole new place to be. So for me, what have I been up to for the past week since we were last on here? The most interesting thing, hey, The Clean, how's it going? Sup? A whole bunch of really interesting stuff has been merged into the Godot Rollback Netcode add-on. I just merged 3 things yesterday, some really great contributions. This person who, I have no idea how to pronounce the name, because whatever language this is, I do not speak it, unfortunately, added contributed a merge request to allow it, to make it possible to use the Godot Rollback Netcode add-on without the Godot high-level multiplayer API, which I think is really cool. I think this will also make it easier to do unit testing when we finally get around to doing some serious unit testing, and to support a much easier-to-use offline mode. You already can use the Godot Rollback Netcode add-on to run your game offline as well, so you can have the same code for offline and online, but it's kind of janky. Like you have to make a fake network peer and then everything work. But anyway, I think with this, I could make something better. BIMDAV had some really cool contributions. This feature that I haven't personally actually had a chance to test, but the code looks awesome, and it's a great idea to allow certain game logic to only run when like a tick is input complete. Previously, I was doing this thing, and still, I guess, because I haven't changed it, but I was doing this thing where if I wanted to make sure something was input complete before I ran some code, I would set a timer that had the same number of ticks in it as the size of the input buffer. And like, yeah, when that timer runs out, like, of course we're input complete. But this can let, assuming that there's like lower latency, this could get you there faster. Like if you have low enough latency, the tick where this important thing, like let's say a player wins, you don't want to declare victory before you know for sure that they've won, that there aren't going to be any rollbacks coming later to like invalidate that. If the latency is such that you can figure that out in like 2 ticks, 3 ticks, like it will do that, which is really cool. And this feature, a cool debug mode for making sure that your message serializer correctly round trips the data, which is an amazing idea. And I wish that we had had this when I recorded last week's tutorial video, because this is a perfect tool for what the last tutorial was about. But I'll make an addendum video or something. I don't know. And then also BIMDAV made a really cool contribution to the SG Physics 2D, the deterministic physics engine, adding fixed point versions of Curve 2D, Path 2D, and Path Follow 2D. So that's like the most exciting stuff going on in my world. And it's not even work I did. It's work other people did that I just got to gobble up. So what do you guys have going on? Buddy Adrian, I actually decided to switch to using pre-rendered sprites instead of writing 3D models in real time. Yeah, I imagine that's probably a performance improvement. For some reason, the models won't render properly in web exports and Android exports. I'm not sure if it's because the models are unoptimized or if it's a problem with the Godot. So the models won't render properly when you're doing your like 3D viewport in a 2D world thing, or like just won't render properly just in plain 3D at all. I'd be, ooh, who has bringed me? Thank you very much. But yeah, I think in the end, like you're still going to get that really cool 3D look, right? And it looks really awesome. So I can't wait to see that come together. Aleph 2050 says, is Git worth for solo developers? Yes. Yes, it is. Most of my projects are solo, and I use Git for literally everything. It's great for allowing you to easily experiment, try some things, throw it away, maybe try an idea and like, oh, I don't know about this, put it in a branch for a little while, think on it. It also is just a great way to back up your code. It's a great way for you to find when regressions were introduced, like you... something was working great, a week later it's not working great, like, well, what broke it? There's tools in Git to allow you to find those regressions. I also obsessively use CI. So like if you look at any of my games, like Retro Tank Party, for example, Retro Tank Party is on itch.io, it's on Steam, it runs on Windows, Linux, Mac, HTML5, and in the end that's like 7 builds, I think. Because the Steam builds are actually different than the non-Steam builds because they include the Steam plugin. And so like every time I push a commit to Retro Tank Party on the master branch, which I should rename to main, I haven't gotten around to it yet, it will automatically run some jobs on GitLab CI to generate all 7 of those builds and automatically push the Steam ones to Steam, the itch.io ones to itch.io. It's really great. If I had to make those builds like by hand, all 7 builds, I would screw it up every single time without fail. I know I would because I know myself. Let me find one that actually I haven't pushed to main in a while. I want to show you guys a build. Here we go. We got all 4 dots here. This it took 25 minutes to run, but it does a lot of stuff. So, oh, this is just a Steam build. I'm on the Steam branch. Where is the main branch? My mind just isn't reading this. I'm looking at branches. So, oh, here we go. Here's where the branch is. Master. So this one must not have had to have built Godot. So in Retro Tank Party, I actually have to recompile Godot also because I have some C++ stuff in there. But this one didn't have to. I guess the C++ code didn't change, and I've GitLab CI set up to not rebuild Godot if the C++ code didn't change. But look at all these builds. That's to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 builds, sign the Windows and Mac ones, and deploy them to itch and Steam. So like, I cannot exist without CI. I don't function. I have some version of attention deficit disorder, and if you give me a repetitive task like that, I'm just gonna mess it up. I'm gonna mess it up. Cardo says, I'm good. Didn't have much time for game dev lately. We'll get back into it later. Nice contributions. Yeah, some good stuff coming in. You know, so this tutorial series that I've been doing, it's been great. Oh, hey, for Roy number 2, I didn't see you drop in there. How's it going? It's great, and I'm really enjoying doing it. but I have so little like free time that the 4 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever I've been working on this YouTube series, I have not been making games. I've just been like doing helping people with stuff, or getting contributions for these projects, and recording the videos, and like I haven't done any game dev, and it's kind of dragging me down, guys. To not be creating games, to just be creating content, like I'm not made for that. So I'm going to try and get this next part out early next week, and I might take a week off so I can go make a game so I can do some actual game dev. Aleph 2050, I recall there's a game that simulates Gitting. I'm not so good at computer tech. A game that simulates Gitting? So it's like a game that teaches you Git? I do recall there being something like that. Game that teaches Git. So, oh my Git! Yeah, okay, so this is it. This is what I was thinking of. So this I've never tried, but I imagine that's pretty cool. Also, you may not know this, I made a tutorial series about how to use Git with Godot. I will drop the link and you can check it out, and it may be useful. I also have a related tutorial series about using GitLab CI with Godot to teach you how to do all the crazy building stuff that I was talking about a second ago. Hey, Baboop Team StarCraft 2! Why do you have StarCraft 2 in your name? Is like Baboop Team like a esports team that does StarCraft 2, or like, I'm just curious. I mean, it's fine, you know. Welcome to the stream in any case. Where's my Godot in Git? Here, I'll just toss this in the chat. The overlay is going to stop for a second while I monkey around over here. All right. What else have I missed in chat so far? Git blame is the best for solo devs. Yeah, well, you can blame yourself every time. But I know what you mean. It also gives you the commit hash for each line of code, so you can see like, why does this line of code look like this, and you can go like dig into the archaeology. It's also great on teams though too, so you can know who to go bug with, like, why the heck does this work this way, dude? Baboop Team, because I used to make videos about StarCraft 2 and I play it on stream all the time. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I have played StarCraft 2. Probably like a long time ago. I played StarCraft 1 a whole bunch because I'm old, and I was I don't know, I think a teenager when the first StarCraft came out, maybe older. When did the first StarCraft come out? StarCraft came out in 1998. So yeah, I was a teenager doing teenager things like playing video games and such, and listening to heavy music. But yeah, I never had a chance to really put too much time into those games. 1998, good year, good vintage on that year. All right, so yeah, is that all the things? Welcome everyone. We are today going to be working on the Godot Rollback Netcode add-on, specifically like the last big feature that I want to put in the add-on, and then I'm sure there'll be a ton of little things, is finishing up this log inspector tool, which is really cool. I don't know how many of you have had a chance to check it out. I know a lot of people who have been on like all of these streams, like Ricardo and The Clean and Adrian have probably seen it a million times. But I want to get it finished. Specifically this replay mode, which I think will help me track down the last few determinism bugs in Retro Tank Party. But like I said, I've been just making these videos for weeks, and I haven't touched this code in like 6 weeks, and it's gonna be fun to finally get back into it. I'm also excited that this stream we're like actually gonna work on something. Last stream was so unfocused, and I felt lost, like lost adrift in the sea. But here we go. So let me show you how this works, and then we will dig into what we still need to do. So let's play a quick mini match of Retro Tank Party so we can record some detailed logs. Ooh, that is loud. Is that going to like blow my ears out when the music starts? Or I guess I would have heard the music already, so there must not be music. Oop, and I can't start vanilla Godot. I got to start our custom compiled Godot for Retro Tank Party, which includes our deterministic physics engine. Oh, Retro Tank Party, I've missed you. It's been so long. All right, so, ooh, and it's really laggy. I wonder if that's because I'm streaming. So let's go shoot this guy. Ah, it's too loud, it's too loud. Okay. Let's turn off the engine sounds. Why are they? Oh, because I'm on 2 different clients. Okay, I'll have to turn it down on both. And we'll turn off the engine sounds. Oh, that's much nicer. Whew. I feel like I can think again. Okay. So, you know, we'll do a couple of things over here. We'll kill the match, and then we're going to load up the logs from that match in the log inspector, which we're going to run through the like run scene thing because it's easier to debug that way. But in the end, I'm expecting people will actually run it by going to Project Tools Log Inspector. But it's hard to debug things in the editor when you're like using the editor to develop. So we're just going to run the scene, and we're going to load the logs. Each client generates its own log, and then when combined together, you can basically see everything there is to see about the match. And it's super useful. This tool has saved my life with debugging like state mismatches and stuff. There's no state mismatches, which is good. The specific thing that I want to work on, though, is this replay mode. We can launch a replay version of the game. And let me move it down here so we can see both things at once. And if I step through the ticks, I'm just clicking this tick button a lot. You can see that it's replaying back the match as we experience it. And this is really helpful for when I'm dealing with a state mismatch. But previously, like all I had was the data in here, which is good. I mean, staring at this data, I've been able to like imagine in my head, like, okay, so this character is at roughly this position and whatever, but like now I can actually see it, which is really cool. The next level of this, though, is being able to not just load old state from the match, which is basically what we're doing here. We're just like loading the state from each tick. Why is he going backwards? I'm trying to press up. Okay, I must have gone backwards for a second in there. But this is just loading like state frames that got saved to the log. The more advanced thing, the thing that I think is really going to help me get those last couple of tricky bugs, is being able to not just load state, but to play all of the inputs forward to a certain tick so that I can then run a tick where something went wrong, like actually run it, not just load the state from it, and set breakpoints in the debugger and see what the code actually did on that tick. And that would be something that would happen over in this mode. We would, rather than being over in the state input mode here, we'd be over here. I don't know exactly how the UI should look. You know, maybe we'll have a button that says like play through to this frame, because we're playing inputs. We have to like essentially every time we want to do this, we have to replay all of the input from the beginning of the match to get, you know, the state in the way it really was in the real game. Not just like the state in the sense of we're saving state, but like everything, the whole game into that exact same position. And then maybe once we're there, we'd hit like a button that would just take us forward a frame, just like next frame, next frame, next frame. And that's the point where we would like set breakpoints and be able to follow what's going on in the code. So that's like the big picture. I was looking at my to-do like right before the stream, because I have a to-do from last time I was working on this. Not all of it makes sense. So this replay argument should configure both sides. I still know what that means. I don't know what some other settings will need to be used pass in additional arguments. I have no idea what I was thinking when I wrote that. This invert the model thing, that is what we worked on so many streams ago. But this is the model is inverted. We did that, but then there's a couple of things here, like get the actual player names into the replay. That's a thing we got to do. When replay client launches, it should start with the state on the current tick if we are in the state viewer. Oh, okay, yeah, that's a thing we should do. And then here we go. This is the big thing I was talking about. This is the holy grail here. That's what I want to make this tool do. And then there's some other things that I really want to have the tool do that are not like that interesting, but like this window down here is still just a rich edit or rich text or whatever that control is, where we could use like an actual table control and that'd be much nicer. So anyway, that's the current state of things. Replay as in storing all the inputs and replaying the game with those inputs. Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, so both things. When we're in this mode, we would replay inputs. When we're in this mode, we're reloading states. So yeah, let's do some stuff. Let's do some stuff. So what should we do first? I kind of want to do something easy just to get my mind back into this code, because while I did like test this out for 5 minutes before the stream, I've literally not been in this code for like 6 weeks. So let's get the player names and session IDs into replay. I don't know what I mean by session IDs, but let's get the names. That should be easy. And then after that is done, we'll move on to trying to do something with the debugger or something cool like that. So where to begin? The replay mode comes from, is that replay server? No, this is the component of the replay system that runs in the editor. There's like something called like replay client somewhere, I think. Sync replay, here we go, sync replay. So this is the part of the replay that runs in like the window that shows us our game. And here we need to take in the names of the players and do something with them. Oh, and like there's a bunch of code here that could probably be simplified after that one change was merged, the one that lets us completely remove the high-level multiplayer API from the mix, because you can see we're abusing WebRTC multiplayer in order to set our peer ID. So this is us doing something with the high-level multiplayer API because we have to, or it just won't run when like really we don't need to, because we're not multiplayer-ing. Okay, so here's where we set up the match. We defer and then go into this second part. I assume because we need Godot to do something for us, so we have to skip a frame. That's why I do the call deferred. And then here we are calling something on the match scene. Where are we actually creating the player nodes though? Where does that happen? Probably in the match scene. Let's go check that out. Okay. Digging into some code outside of the add-on. We're actually going to look in the game. I believe it is match TSCN that actually runs a match. Yeah, this seems right from there. Set up match for replay. Here we go. And here is where we are setting the name. We're setting the name right there. And we're saying it's peer blah, when really we want to put in the actual player name, which we have to have somewhere, I think. I know that it's recorded in the logs. Let's just take a peek at one of the logs. Here, I'll make this big again. Huge! Go to... What is it? It's local? Local, share, Godot, app. Retro Tank Party, detailed logs. And let's look at the top, because it's in like the header part. Oop. Pure one. So at the top, we have, here we go, match info, manager path, config, map path, teams, random seed. Okay, so it's not putting in the player names. We need to put in the player names. Okay, so we need to log the player names into the detailed log. And then here, we're going to grab them out of the match info dictionary once we have them in there. And the match info dictionary, I believe, is literally this match info dictionary. So whatever we put into here is going to get all the way to the place where the names are being set. Hey, Aaron Winter, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. You got a sweet staff. I can't tell if that's supposed to be a magic staff. Anyway, it looks cool. Ooh, who's stuck at the bottom? I gotta unstuck somebody. What's the key for that? No? There, okay. Everyone's free. Okay, so we need to venture our way over to the logger. Although I'm sure it's just like part of start logging, right? Okay, yeah, start logging is where the match info goes in. So where do we call that? That would be, I think actually back in this match scene, right? So when we're starting a match is when we set up the logger, the detailed logger, because it needs to be started before we call sync manager start. I'll just search for it. Start detailed. Oh, start logging. Here we go. Start logging. We pass in the match info. 1 bit of match info, which is not normally part of the match info, is going to be the player names. So wait, where does this match info come from? I wish I could just press like Shift 3 and like Vim this. But I guess I will do Control F and match info, search that. Okay, where does the match info come from? Config get teams. Oh, okay, it's actually like a member variable. Ricardo, player names seem to appear later in the log, so maybe they can also be removed from there, or just keep them in both places. Probably I'll just keep them in both places, but we'll see. Maybe there is like a clever way that we can pull that out. The log data is very raw. Like we're just dumping a lot of things in there without having a lot of context, and I think that's okay. I think I'd rather just dump things in there than try to be too smart about it. But I don't know. We can check that out. We can check that out afterwards. So, oh, okay. Match info is passed into scene setup. And match info on its own does not normally contain the player names. I believe that usually comes from online match. So we have two choices. We can get it into the match info normally, wherever this is from, or like right here, we could just like say, okay, we know we need the player names in there, so we're going to add them here. I kind of want to see where it comes from originally. Because that'd be nice and clean. That'd be nice and clean to not have to wedge them in right when we're setting up the scene. So match info passed into scene setup. Scene setup is part of this like coordinated scene loading mechanism that is remote operations. So this is a autoload that allows us to tell every peer in the match to like load a scene, and it will ensure that all of them have loaded that scene. They've all reported back like, hey, I'm done loading, before moving on to the next step, because the Godot's high-level multiplayer API depends on every peer in that's connected to have the same scene tree. And so if we were to start doing our thing and one of the clients wasn't finished loading the scene, then bad things happen. So that's what this system does. It can also allow you to synchronize any operation, but since switching to rollback, there's way less stuff we need to synchronize because everything's deterministic. So I think the only thing I'm using at this point is the scene loading stuff. So I just want to know the name. Okay, remote operations change scene. We are going to grep. We're going to grep for remote operations change scene. Remote operations change scene. What do we find? I'll put this up a little higher so you guys can see it. Do we find anything? Let's make this a little more specific. Let's search in the source directory. Okay, there we go. So, session setup calls match setup calls match. So here's where the match info gets passed in this match setup scene. All right, so here we create the match info, and all we got to do, player names equals online match, and it's like get player names or something. Get player names by peer ID. Done. So that should now be stored in the log. We have to generate some new logs because our old logs won't have this data. I'm just going to actually delete these logs so I don't open the wrong log at some point. So we're just going to run a quick match so that we can generate new log data here. Oops. Yes. And I'll just drive around for a moment, then kill it. And let's just take a peek in one of those logs. see what we got. We've got match info, config, map path, random scene, player names. But DSnowPick and DSnowPick, we're playing together. Yeah, this will just make it easier for me. Like when I do playtesting, I like to do 4-player matches, and I don't remember who's what peer ID, but I might remember that, like, oh, when Adrian blew me up, it did this crazy thing. And so then it's easy to know, like, okay, who is Adrian in this match? Cool. So now we have the data. Let's go back to the place where we are creating the player objects for replay, which I think was in match GD. And I believe it was in this setup match for replay. And here we have the peer ID. We just need to go, or you know what? I'm just in case the data isn't there. Let's say, I don't know. This, I obsess over like how to separate lines of code because like when I'm looking at this later, what will be the least confusing to me? Okay, so we're getting the peer IDs, we're adding the my peer ID, doing this stuff. Let's just make like a variable, say player names equals match info get player names. We'll just put like an empty dictionary. We'll make sure this knows it's a dictionary for autocomplete goo goody goodness. And up here we will do player names get peer ID with this as the fallback. I don't know why I'm worried that it might not be there, but I don't want it to crash if it isn't, I guess. I mean, maybe if someone's playing an old version of the game or something. Oh, I missed. Baboop Team says the log file is being created at the beginning of each match. Yes. So it starts recording the log file at the beginning of each match and then stops recording at the end. It's actually writing the log data in a separate thread so that it interferes with the game as little as possible because these log files get really big. You'll play like a 20-minute match and it's like, oh my god, the log file is 200 megs. So it needs to have a little breathing room to do that. But this I think should work. String peer ID. Oh, so you're wondering what this line is about. What is that line about? Player new string peer ID. Interesting. I also do not know what that's about, and I just went to Nowheresville. Get me back. Okay, player, online match. What is that first argument for player's constructor? Session ID. Okay, so the thing is we don't actually know the session ID. So we're putting in the peer ID as the session ID. Okay, so I guess that makes my comment, my previous to-do item, make more sense. We need to, what was it? It was get the actual player names and session IDs into the replay. It shouldn't matter, the session ID, except that I sometimes use that for disambiguating conflicts. I'll say the player with the lower session ID gets precedence. I don't think I do that too much in the rollback version anymore. But yeah, it would be good to have the real session ID in there just in case somebody's using that for somebody for something, and that somebody is me, I guess. And it puts a JSON file somewhere on the PC. Yep. Oh my God, what? 200 megabytes? Yeah. No, I mean the key in the dict is a string in player names. Oh. Is it? The key in the dict is a string. I like just had the logs open. Did I close that window? I must have. Wow, I didn't mean to. Okay. Local, share, Godot, RetroTank, party, app data, RetroTank party, detailed logs. Let's go look at this. Oh, and I need to make the font bigger for the stream. Player names. Yeah, that is interesting. Why are they strings? Why are they strings? They shouldn't be strings, right? Like get player names by peer ID result player peer ID. So it must mean that players session peer ID, that this is a string rather than an integer, and so that would come from, I believe, the player object, which has it as an integer. I don't know why they're becoming strings. That's really weird. I guess now that we know that they're strings, we just need to be careful to turn them into what we need them to be. Yeah, so I guess so this is supposed to be a session ID. This isn't supposed to be a peer ID. Let's make that clearer to ourselves. So we are pretending that the session ID is peer ID. And so this is taking a session ID. And this is taking a session ID. And this last one, this one's supposed to be an integer. I think that's expected. What are you expecting? Lower your expectations, Godot. It's me at the keyboard. Yeah, let's look at what's that? An online match. An online match. It's expecting this one to be an integer, so I guess we'll make sure to cast it to an integer so we don't get some kind of type error there. Godot's getting real fuzzy with the types. Getting real fuzzy with the types on us here. Okay, let me jump back to match. Sohas Lin! Bruh magic? What's bruh magic? What character did you get on here, Sohas Lin? Oh, you got kind of a boring one. Sorry about that. Got just a dude with like, what are those like bowl cut haircuts going on, and like a kind of a fancy looking shirt. You could be somebody important with a shirt like that. Sohas Lin. All right, well, let's just make sure that the thing we did worked. Let's load up a replay, and then we'll see about getting the proper session ID in there too. Not that it really matters, as long as we're not wasting too much time. Ah! Okay, we'll do this last thing, and then we'll dig into the more interesting stuff. Okay, so we'll launch the replay client. And it still says peer 1. Why does it say peer 1? So dictionary, match info, get player names. I called it player names, right? Match info, player names. We get a dictionary. Then we do player names get peer ID, unless peer ID is being a integer instead of a string here. Let's string you. Why is everything just so loosey-goosey with types right now? It's really weird. Let's try this again. So we should just be able to launch from here again. I don't need to restart the log inspector, I don't think. Hey, D-Snowpack! Because you get the index, because you get with the index, which is not string. Yep, Ricardo, you called it. You called it. Ah, Ricardo's on top of this. For Roy2, since you're tracking all the inputs, you get some replay last match functionality for free. I mean, not for free. Nothing's for free, but I mean it's definitely easier to implement than you know, if you had to do it where you couldn't depend on the inputs. So we were just talking about how big the log files are, and in these log files we're recording not just the inputs but also the state and also all of this like diagnostic data about each frame, about each tick. It's the state data that makes those files so big. That's why they end up being like 100 megs or 200 megs or whatever. If you recorded just the input, the files would be actually really small, and that would be an advantage that recording the inputs and having a deterministic game engine would give you for making the replays. But I mean, you still got to make that infrastructure, and I don't know, not free. Nothing's free. Hey, Chestnut Buck, are you using i3? How do you get the game to launch this? Oh, i3, the window manager? No, I am using Notion, which is a fork of Ion WM, which I've been using since I think 2001. And I'm just like, I can't use the computer any other way. Like, I'm just so into the key codes and stuff. But it's like i3, at least assuming I'm imagining the right thing. i3 is another like window manager where you can do everything on the keyboard, where you don't need to touch the mouse. Ion is one of those things. The fork happened because the developer of Ion just got like real pissed off at like the open source community one day, and he's like, I'm done, I'm out of here. And then there needed to be a whole bunch of forks, and Notion kind of turned out to be the most successful fork of Ion, and so that's what I'm using. But yeah, I do not have a way, at least like the way I'm doing things now, to get them to launch in a specific frame. I just like move focus to a frame when something's about to launch. You can, this window manager is configured via Lua code. It's like the configuration files, I believe, are here. And you can write like some Lua code that will say like, oh, I see these window properties or whatever, so I want you to open on this desktop in this pane and all that kind of stuff. And I have set that up in the past, but I end up breaking it like so easily that I don't have any of it running right now. I mean, some of the code might even still be in there, but it's not working. One of these days, I will take a gander around at what other tiling window managers out there, and I'll pick something more modern, easier to use than Notion. But this is what I've been using. Okay, so we're loading up this. Do we care about the session IDs? Do we want to do the session IDs right now? I mean, how much harder can it be to get them in there? Not much harder, right? Because we know the place to put them in. Here we go. Player names, and then can we get just the session IDs matched to peer IDs? Does online input or online match give us that? Session get session ID. Get players by peer ID. Get player by peer ID. Get session by peer ID. I think we need just like a new method here. Where we say get or we just loop. We don't need a new method. Let's just loop. We'll go to match setup. We'll say player session IDs, and we are going to say for player in online match players. Or I'm sorry, no, this is actually the session ID for session ID and players, and then we're going to say player session IDs. We want to go from the peer ID to the session ID because that is the way our game thinks in terms of peer IDs. Online match thinks in terms of session IDs. So we're kind of, yeah, flipping things around here. We want it to be peer IDs, which I guess would be online match players session ID dot peer ID equals session ID. We're flipping that around, and then we just need to stash this in here. Player session IDs equals player session IDs. All right, so this is a little thing. I think we're just going to get it when I add this next bit of code, but it was nice to do this simple thing, kind of warming me up to working in this code again. Say player session IDs dictionary equals match info get player session IDs, and this will be player session IDs get. We'll make sure it's an integer because all of the types are confusing the heck out of me here. Yeah, so we'll get it by its peer ID. If we don't have it, we'll just use the peer ID as a replacement for it, like we've been doing up until now. And all of this should work. But the logs won't have the data yet, so let's, I guess, quick delete these logs. We'll generate some new ones super duper fast. Ooh, let's see if the multi-run button still works. Let's try that. Didn't type it quick enough. Okay, so the multi-run button will actually like do everything and get us into a match in 2 windows like immediately. The reason I don't use it very much is because it doesn't connect to the debugger. And I haven't used that in months. It's really cool that it still works. Okay, so let's just make sure the data is there. Random seed, player names, player session IDs. Okay, cool. So now we will be recreating our players with the exact same session IDs. Largely for completeness, but who knows? It's good to be complete, I guess. Let's test. How can we test this? There's no visible indicator that the session IDs are right. Okay, let's make a not visible indicator. Let's go over here. We will print out print I guess online match players keys. And did I launch the client yet? Nope. Okay, so I can still do that. Oh, because I didn't load any logs. That makes sense. There's nothing there because no data is loaded. Okay. Ooh, and it says test user like it should. And then the question is, oh, where do those logs go? They go nowhere. Oh, no, wait. Okay, I see this here. This might be it, and it's wrong. It's wrong. Why? Why is it wrong? Player session IDs. That player session IDs. Need to get plural. Need to get plural on this. Okay, so we should still be able to launch the client. And kill it, because all we want to see is that it still doesn't work. What is going wrong? Okay, so player session IDs, they are strings. So we're putting the player ID as a string. Why are the simplest things sometimes so difficult? Player session IDs, player session IDs, player session IDs get, oh, these need to be both string. String. Okay, last time's charm. Last time always is a charm, right? Because that's when you stop working on it. It's always the last time. I don't remember if this is 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever. Okay. Yay! We have some session IDs. Okay, cool. Let's get rid of our little bit of debug code there, and then we will commit and push this and move on to the interesting thing, the thing that we're all here for, at least the thing I'm here for. I don't know what you guys are here for. What are you guys here for? What do you guys want to do? If it's not this, I guess I'd like to know that. Okay, so invert the model, get the actual player names, session IDs. I think, did I already implement this one? Let me just see if this actually works, because I have this vague memory of implementing that, and if it already is implemented, then I can remove both of those things from my to-do list here. So let's launch the client. So when the replay client launches, is it starting on tick number 200? No. Okay, so that's got to stay in the to-do. We're not going to work on that though. And I don't need this title one here. I'll just kind of squish that down there. All right, let's look at our Git Diff. We updated the README. don't know why the theme resource has changed, but what it's changing to actually looks more correct than what we had. Why is the font null? Anyway, we'll commit that. That'll be fine. I'll review that in more detail before merging this branch. But otherwise, all of this code looks good. Let's commit it. Make sure there aren't any new files. Okay, so what did we do? Use real player names and session IDs in the replay. Ricardo, I'm here for the replay debugging. Haha, good, good. Me and Ricardo are here for the same thing. Okay, so on the stream that we did where we were working on the Godot add-on for the Godot add-on jam, I came across some of the code that I knew we were going to need for this, but where did I put that? I put it in Google Drive. That I remember. Where did I put it in Google Drive? Here we go. Godot arguments to set up remote debugging. Let's bring that over. Put the overlay back on. Okay, so this is some C++ code that I just like stumbled on when we were working on that other bit. And so if we want the replay client to do remote debugging, we need to add the remote debug argument. We need to get connection string. Connection string. Try with default settings. Yeah. So I don't know what this part is. Get debugger, get connection string. But I do know that we want to form our connection string out of these two settings: remote host and remote port. And perhaps these just do have a more encapsulated way to get that same data. Let me just take a look at that really quickly. We will not spend too much time in the C++ source code for Godot, but I am curious about that. So this is the script editor singleton. Let's find that script editor. I imagine it's bringing us here, right? So get connection string. Let's see if I guessed the right header file. Get connection string. Okay. Let's look at the... Yeah, it's doing the exact same thing. It's just a more encapsulated way of doing it. Cool. So we'll do it directly because I don't think we will have access to this class from GDScript. So we're just going to grab these project settings, remote host and remote port, and we'll put them together ourselves with this. So let's find... I'll close VS Code so it doesn't distract me. Let's find the code where we are launching the replay client. So that is up here someplace. Not sync replay. That is the replay client. Perhaps it is replay server, or is that just doing the actual servering? Nope, here it's actually launching it. Okay, so we have our args. We're putting them on there. So enable debugging, which I think we want always. Do we ever not want it? I mean, it could not work sometimes if like the editor's already debugging. I'm just wondering if we need to have like a switch for it to turn on and off debugging. I'm gonna say we probably don't want to turn it off. Unless it turns out to be problematic, and then we'll add like a checkbox for it or something. And it'll go, I guess, where in this interface would make sense. Load! So we have our launch client. Maybe up in here would be a checkbox like launch with debugger or with debugger. Maybe right after the launch thing. But for now, let's just always do it. So, args, push back. Right? We want to push back. What else is in this args list? I'm a little confused on why this one pushes front. Has settings, game argument setting, blah, blah, blah. We loop over them and we push front. That just seems so weird. Why aren't we pushing back? Because it's going to take whatever the arguments are that are saved and reverse them. I'm going to assume that I did this wrong. at least for now, and say that we want to push back, and then what was it? Remote debug, and then we need to get some project settings. We'll say debugger connection string equals project settings, get setting. What were the settings? Network debug remote host. Oop, gotta be in quotes. And then we are going to append to that the port, which we could do on one line. We don't really need to do this on multiple lines, I don't think. But it is nice to... I'll make it slightly more readable. No. Waffle back and forth, and now I'm going to format the code. Then we need to get this other project setting. Network debug remote port. I guess I can just type that. That's not that big of a deal. And we need to cast this to a string. And do we need to like separate it with a colon or something? I vaguely recall. Yep, a colon. So plus colon plus this. And we'll do args push back this debugger connection string. Okay, so this will connect us to the debugger. We still need to do some other stuff, but let's see if this works first. So using the same method, the multi-run add-on could be made. Ricardo, you're a genius. Yes, it could. It could. Yeah. Okay, so right, so I have first window args, other window args. I would want the first window to do remote debugging, or was it remote debug? Good thing I put that in the document. And then I'd put the connection string, which it sucks that I have to hard code this. Maybe it could be a change to the add-on, so you don't have to hard code it, so you could just grab it from your own settings. But where is this stored? Debug. Oh my god, I was just looking at the string. So network debug, okay. Network. Why is there's no debug under network? I don't see any. Oh my god. Okay, remote. Let's just search for remote. Remote FS. Where the heck is this? Port? Editor might be a place. I wonder if this is not a project setting. What if this is an editor setting? What if I'm like looking in the complete wrong place here? Here we go. It's an editor setting, so I'm actually using the wrong. I'm using the wrong Singleton. I can't get this from project settings. I have to get this from editor settings. Okay, but 6007. Okay. Project settings. Yeah, debug. This is where I want to be. Take me back there. Multi-run. Localhost 6007. So that should work. How do we test this? Let's just test this. Let's put like a breakpoint towards the beginning of the execution of Retro Tank Party and just try this. Where's a good place for that? Or anywhere. No, not anywhere. I don't want to have to like do stuff. So main, title, put it in the title screen. Yeah, we'll set a breakpoint right here. This code should run when we do the multi-run button. So let me try it. is not giving the appearance of working. What happened there? Huh. Let's make sure everything is closed. I don't have any extra instances of Godot running. Yeah, it would be a super cool improvement. I'm gonna run some Linux commands here. We're gonna check to see if Godot is presently running on this port. I don't know if it's TCP or UDP. We'll try TCP first because it's a long list if we include UDP. What? So Godot is listening on port 6008. Why is it listening on 6008 when we saw it listed as 6007? Editor settings, remote port 6007. Did I like start out having 2 Godots running and that like screwed everything up? Maybe? Let me try. Oh, we're going down a tangent here, but this will be really cool if we can get it to work. So let's launch this. Godot Rollback Netcode. Nope. RetroTank Party is what we're working on right now. Well, we're working on the Godot Rollback Netcode, but we're working on it in the RetroTank Party project. Okay. So now let's see. Godot's still running on 6008. Why are you running on 6008? Nothing is running on 6007. The Godot is running on 6008. That is so random. This is in network, right? Network debug, remote host, remote port, 6007. I'm gonna change it to 6008 just for the heck of it. Save. Let's come down here and see what it says. Well, still on 6008. Weird. Weird. Do I have like multiple instances of Godot running still that I don't know about? Yes. Yes, I do. Oh! Well, one is Stream Tools. But it's not using that port. Because otherwise I would have seen it in the netstat list. Very strange. Okay, well, back to seeing if we get the multi-run add-on to connect to the debugger. Because that will save me so much time. You have no idea how much time this is going to save me. The multi-run add-on is super cool. And I don't have to, like, go through all the junk of setting up a match. So what is happening here? Because it is, first of all, only starting one instance, which is wrong. And it's not hitting my breakpoint. Am I misunderstanding the process that we need to follow to connect to the debugger? Okay, I'm going to remove this and see if it goes back to just working. Because we tried it and it worked. I don't have Godot running. What is this? What is this window? It's like a black project manager window. Oh, what? I can't force kill it either? Okay, well, let's just make sure the multi-run button is working. I removed the stuff about, okay, when I remove the stuff about remote debug, it doesn't error out. Okay, so let's just try messing with these arguments directly. Like, maybe there's an error message that's getting printed out that we are not seeing. So let's try running the game on the command line with remote debug, localhost 6008, and let's see what happens. So this actually seems to have connected to the debugger. It says connection taken up there. Weird. And disconnected. So it's connecting. Why is that not working with the multi-run? I wonder if multi-run's already trying to do this, but it just isn't working for some reason. Let's look at the code. We'll do it in the Godot editor. Say remote. Doesn't appear to be. No. Okay, well, for some reason this just is not jiving well with multi-run, but it appears as though we have the right idea. I'm also a little off-put by the fact that the editor settings say one thing about the port, but in actual fact, the port is different. I want to take I know I said we weren't going to go back to the C++ code, but I kind of want to see how that could happen. So we have the remote port. Remote port starts as 0. Error listening on some port. Remote debugger error, no free port. Is it trying? Okay, it is trying multiple ports. So remote debugger failed listening on port blah, retrying new port. Okay, so am I just missing that? Okay, let's try. We'll start up the editor, and we're gonna watch the messages on the command line in the terminal. This project manager one here is still stuck open. Okay, but we're gonna launch this. We're gonna open up Retro Tank Party, and we're gonna watch what happens over here. It opened up Retro Tank Party, theoretically, right? There it is. It's not saying anything in particular. Does it start it right away, or does it start it later? Okay, I'm gonna try running it. Oops, somebody's stuck at the bottom. Who is that down there? Who was that? That was the clean was stuck down there. Okay, so I launched this. Let's go look in the terminal. Nothing. Oh, here we go. Up here it says, remote debugger failed, listening on port 6008, retrying on new port 6009. Okay. So it's going to do this. It's going to eventually find a remote port to listen on. Can we get this remote port from GDScript? So what object is this? This is the script editor debugger object. Let's see. It is bound, like it's in the class DB. Does it do bind methods? Out of my way, all this junk. Bind methods, it does. Let's go see what methods it binds. Oh, this is quite nice. There's a bunch of cool methods here we can call. Is there a way to get the remote port? I'm looking for that connection string. Get connection string. That isn't bound. Remote port Who was saying things? Oh, someone just joined the Discord. See you, me. I'll give you a little Discord wave. I like waving in Discord. Welcome to the Discord. Okay, let's get undistracted here. How are we going to get this remote port? We don't know what port it's going to be on because Godot is not giving us access to it, at least not in any way I can see. So, do we get access to whatever this server member is? It's probably a TCP server. Let's look out here. Server. Yep, it's a TCP server. And I deleted the S in it. There does not appear to be a way to get access to it, though. So we do get some cool stuff, like we get the ability to like start, pause, whatever, all of these things from GDScript, at least theoretically, if we can find this object, but we don't have a way to get the port. That is exceedingly frustrating. I, first of all, don't know why Godot is not using the default port. It seems like it's available. I'm gonna go look in bind methods for another moment and just see if there's something that looks like we can get a hold of it. Wait, what is this? Some other bind methods? Or inspected object. Interesting. Okay, but this is the one I want. This is the script editor debugger. Copy to next. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we need to allow the user to enter these themselves. And that way, it's the user's responsibility to type in whatever port Godot ended up actually getting, which sucks because we should be able to get this from within Godot. But it means we won't pick the wrong port, because if we just take it from the editor settings, it's going to be wrong. So I guess it's become now a documentation problem, I think. So let's go back to our code. And I don't know why this doesn't work in multi-run. I'm going to take one more look at the multi-run code, because I have this thought that, like, what if they're doing push front for the arguments? Because that would definitely screw things up. They're putting these in backwards order. Does Godot let us do like the equal sign? So I want to see if I do remote debug equals localhost colon 6009 apparently. Well, that did not work. Okay. Let's get rid of the equal sign, just make sure that I have the port right and everything. This might turn into like a patch for Godot. That might be where we're headed on this. So why? We saw it get connected last time. It did not get connected this time. Remote debug, localhost 6009. Retrying on port 6009. Oh, here I got a message. Unable to connect, status 3. Are we running something up here? Are we running it? Is it... What is happening? What is Ricardo's idea? Ah, yes, the arguments don't look so good in reverse. Yeah, so I think that must be a bug in multi-run, and I guess I had the same bug because I must have copied the code from here. I don't recall doing that, but That makes sense. Really, I think they're probably doing push front because they want these arguments to come before these later ones. But they're putting everything backwards. Let's go over to, where did I still have those netstat commands? Well, I'll just whatever. I'll run them again. Netstat. So Godot's back on 6008? Okay, fine. Fine, you're back on 6008. Okay, 6008. Run that. And we're connected to the debugger. Yep, connection taken. Let me back out of here and let me try the equals sign again. Remote debug equals. Equals does not work. Okay. So, note number 1. Patch for multi-run add-on to allow debugger. That is note number 1. Because I think we can do that. I think we can do it. What do you do to like add two arrays together? Like we could probably just prototype this right now. So we would need so it'd be like extra args, and then we do extra args commands plus equals extra args. Is that a thing? And then let's make sure we have this set to the right port. So we'll go to multi-run. Or I probably deleted it. I did. Okay, so remote debug localhost 6008. Let's multi-run this. Did I switch that to push back, right? Or did I leave it as push front? I left it as push front. Okay. Okay, push back. Take 2. Hey, there we go. It loaded 2 instances. And it did not hit my breakpoint. Did I remove my breakpoint? I might have removed that breakpoint. I put that into title. I did not remove my breakpoint. It took the connection, but it did not. Or no, that was join. Okay, it won't get to join, but it will. So here's where we check for replay. Here we check for join. But we don't want join. It's like serve or something, right? Okay, whatever. We'll just put the breakpoint right at the top. We have to break there. Let's try again. We'll kill these 2 instances. It still hasn't. The debugger looks like it's connected. Connection taken. But it doesn't stop at my breakpoint. Am I just not remembering how this multi-run arguments work? So, okay, so it does have join. Okay, it does have join. Join equals matchmaker. Why is this not working? You hit a breakpoint. Come on, look at all these breakpoints. There's breakpoints everywhere. Hit one of these breakpoints. Close this one. Close this one. Output says disconnected. So. It is just not hitting any breakpoints. Maybe standard args need to come before custom args? I remember something like that. Interesting. Let's try it. Let's try it. That does actually, that makes a kind of sense. Wait, so it's standard args need to come before custom args? The add-on was actually doing the reverse. And now that we've done something, we've mixed it all up. Let me so how to do this? Let's keep this here for now and try the reverse idea, which makes less sense than what you were saying, Ricardo, but I know that before it was putting these extra args that you pass to it before this position argument. So let's just try doing it like that. Interestingly, too, like, doesn't this kind of look like it's putting both the first window arguments and the second window arguments on the other windows? Or no, it's reinitializing commands here. Okay, cool. So that does make sense. Let's try this. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, trying it the other way around. We're going to switch this back to plus equals extra args, and I'm going to move the remote debug here. Let me just make sure well, it's connecting. It's saying it's connecting. It's like, I don't know, it sort of seems like it's working, but not working. Connection taken, but we are still not stopping on any breakpoints. Is there something else we need to be doing that we're not doing in order to make this work? How are we doing on time? Okay, not so bad. We got like 45 minutes, or 40 minutes, 40 minutes-ish. I'm pretty sure you can use append array. Oh, cool. Thanks, Adrian. I was not aware of append array. I've been using the plus sign. But it seems like we're connecting. Okay, so like when I do it completely outside of the multi-run add-on, this is just me running this in the command line. And I pass those arguments. It appears to connect. If I go look over here, connection taken. Interestingly, like it doesn't, these things stay grayed out. I wonder if there's some extra step we need to do. It's like tell the debugger, hey, it's time to do some work. Because it appears to connect. If I close this instance, it's going to say disconnected. Okay, with the code I had copy and pasted that one time. Where'd that go? Here we go. Let's try and find where this is. Let's try to find where this is in the Godot source code and see if there's something we're missing right by it. Because maybe we have to tell the editor to be listening. Which could actually be in that code we were just looking at. Okay, close you, close you. Where is... So we were in the script editor debugger. Is there anything in here? Show debugger. That sounds just like UI. This might actually just be the UI for the thing. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna kind of skim through this code and see if I see anything That seems p-peer, put var. So p-peer, that must be the instance it's connected to. Debug skip breakpoints. Okay, so this other, you're launching an instance of Godot, which is running your game. It connects back to the remote debugger, and then the remote debugger, once it gets a connection, can send messages. But what's the just like, here's all your breakpoints message? I really thought this was going to be easier. I really did. Okay, so if we called this start function, it calls stop, blah, perf history. It starts listening. Ooh. So it might not always be started, which is interesting. It's listening on a port. Turns on its process. What happens in its process? I guess that would be a notification, right? Notification. Enter tree process. So if the connection is valid, we do something to update the inspect tree. We inspect objects, deal with camera override, which is really cool. Available is valid. Take connection. Okay, so this is like when we're first getting connected. So we get the first connection. Debugging process started. I bet we have to do something with this script editor debugger. How do we get access to this guy? How do we get this guy? So where is script editor? Script editor. Okay, well, let's leave the code and go to Google for a moment. Godot script editor debugger. See what we get. How to set breakpoints in ToolScript when running editor with blah blah blah. It should be possible to debug tool scripts running in the editor. However, it doesn't stop to allow the addition of breakpoints before the scene starts executing. I have found that if you put an assert false in the code, the command line debugger will stop there, and you can continue from there. However, it seems buggy as the debugger then starts stopping at breakpoints that you have not created either. How do I debug? Breakpoint. Godot Editor Debugger plugin. A plugin to what? A plugin that allows you to inspect the editor scene tree itself. That is cool. Whoa, this would be super useful for building add-ons. This doesn't help us right now, I don't think. But this is really cool. Wow, so you can actually see the scene tree that the editor has. That is awesome. We might have to try this. Let's keep that tab open. So I was hoping there would be some docs that talked about the script editor debugger. What is this? Debugger panel. That's not the kind of docs we want. Because we do, I mean, it is like binding a whole bunch of methods from this thing. We just need to get it somehow. Walking the scene tree is one way to get it, but I'd prefer not to do that. There was a singleton, so script editor, debugger, margin container. So this is a very UI thing, but I remember we were looking at some code earlier that, oh, it was actually in that Google Doc. It's here: script editor, get singleton, get debugger. Script editor, get singleton. Where is this singleton? Script editor. Let's just go in here for a second. Script editor plugin. Script editor. Okay, this must be script editor, right? Let's see if this has a get singleton. Does. So what is this part of? I want to get to the register types and that to see if this singleton is registered anywhere. What exactly is script editor plugins? This is like if you're making an, yeah, okay, so if you're making an editor plugin that does something with the script editor. Does that help us in any way? It has a private script editor variable, but I don't know how we'd get access to that from GDScript necessarily. But yeah, if we could get the singleton, we can call Git Debugger. Does this script editor thing bind? It does bind some methods. All these underscore ones look like callbacks. Wow, I was expecting this to be easily done. And this might require like a detour to actually hacking Godot to make this be easily done. I mean, it would be amazing. This would be an amazing debugging tool to have. But if we could get access to the script editor singleton, we need to get the debugger object from it, which does not appear to be a bound method. Like, I mean, it's in the scene tree. And there was a start method that was bound. What exactly does the start method do? Start method first stops, clears some history stuff, makes the bottom panel visible, starts up the server, listens, turns on its process. I have a feeling the reason this isn't working is because its process is off. So, okay, let's grab Zilon's thing, the add-on that lets us like look at the scene tree in the editor, and then see what we can figure out. If we have to walk the scene tree, that is not ideal, but if we get it working at all, maybe then we can make a patch for Godot to make this actually easy. This all seems fine. go enable it. And I did see something here in the chat, so I will check that out in a moment. I did not expect Zilon's name to be Mark Gilleron. Okay. Can we see how the normal play button connects to the debugger? Yeah, we can check that out. Attempt to call function instance on base instance of null. That doesn't seem good. Where is this? Why isn't this here? Not seeing you. Put this in the right place, right? Maybe we have to restart the editor. This add-on might be out of date. Cannot open file doc.tscn. It's just like not even listed here as a directory. Like, why? Why is it not listed here as a directory? I see it. Editor debugger plugin. Add-ons. Let's Godot editor debugger plugin. Oh, okay. Wrong structure. Okay. We want to move add-ons or Godot editor plugin. Add-ons Godot editor plugin. That was just me not thinking too hard about how to install this. Okay, so now we do have it, and let's reload the current project. Add-ons on failed to load. What is going on with this add-on? So plugin GD failed to load. Why? Why did you fail to load? Add-ons on editor doc.tscn. Doc.tscn is here. That seems good. Let's try project settings. Oh, this time it worked. Editor debugger. Okay, so here's the root node of the editor. Wow. This is cool. This is so cool. Okay, so that's the editor node, which I think is like the main node here. Oh, it's really weird that the Nakama singleton is in the editor too. I bet that wasn't on purpose necessarily. I have to check out the Nakama add-on and see if it is meaning to do that. We can't seem to dig any deeper though. Oh, here we go. Okay. We're looking for script editor, I guess, somewhere in here. Oh man, I bet there's like so many V boxes, H boxes making up the editor. This is crazy. Oh, here we go. Here's the 3D, 2D script asset lib. This is really cool. I cannot believe this. Oh, it highlights it? Oh, hoo. That is nice. Okay, so we've gone too deep. We've gone too deep. Let's get ourselves over to, here we go, this H box. That is so cool. Can you guys see the yellow that it's like highlighting that? That is awesome. Okay, so that's the button. I don't remember where in the scene tree the actual thing is, but okay, let's do Ricardo's idea and see how the normal play button works. So this is the script editor bugger start, which I think script editor perhaps has the play button in it. Or was that script editor plugin? Editor play. It calls debugger start. It does some stuff here. So it disables some things, starts some things. Okay, this is just a callback, actually. I think this is just a callback for when the editor actually does start. Let's see what this callback is connected to. So we need to find the connect. So play pressed. When play is pressed on the editor. Okay, so I think we need whatever this editor node is. Play. Run play. Actually, up here there was like play scene button. Find that. I'm sure we can go into the CPP file. Play scene button. Okay, so we have this run. What exactly? Skip breakpoints. Find scene to run. Blah 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 blah. Return main scene. Save before running. Okay. Call build. It grabs a list of the breakpoints. It calls editor run with a list of the breakpoints. What are you doing with these breakpoints? Oh, I should have gone to the actual, this specific method. So we're getting a list of breakpoints. Does it have to pass the breakpoints on the command line? What are you doing with these breakpoints? Holy cow. It appears to have to pass the list of breakpoints when executing. That is interesting. I mean, that definitely seems like something we could do, because I'm pretty sure there's a way from an editor plugin to get access to the breakpoints. I remember seeing it also when we were doing the Godot add-on jam on that stream. When we were like looking at the docs and just I was skimming stuff for fun. Let's do this. Let's do this over here. Not over here. So Godot editor plugin docs. Get breakpoints. So we are making an editor plugin, I'm pretty sure. And we just need to, you know, call this, I think. Wait, is it virtual? This is for editors that edit script-based objects. You can return a list of breakpoints. So this is for us to return a list of breakpoints, not for us to get the list of breakpoints. That is a little bit different. Well, a lot bit different. One helps us and one doesn't help us at all. Okay. So let's go and see where this is getting the breakpoints from again. We were in editor node. We were here. We can call editor data get editor breakpoints. All right. That is a very non-GDScript way of formulating that method call. What is editor data? This is not something that GDScript gets access to at all. So something else is going to have to give us access to this data. It is not in the class DB. So let's just search in here for get editor breakpoints. Maybe it exposes it to us somewhere. No. I really thought that this would be something we'd be able to do. And we are just not able to do it. What if, rather than running this ourselves, we were able to just like click the play button, but add some extra arguments? You know, like this will be nasty. We would have to like swap in some arguments into the settings, hit run, and then swap those arguments back out. Because then it'll get all the stuff that it's supposed to get. I'm going to just grep for this get editor breakpoints to see if there's anything else that uses it. Get editor breakpoints, or if it's just that one call site. Oh, and that's going to take forever to run. Yeah, Ricardo, we're increasing our understanding, but we're not necessarily progressing in our task, which is frustrating. I mean, but I guess that's software development, right? You kind of don't know the shape of a problem until you try to solve it. And that is why estimating things is nigh impossible. So I saw another call site higher up. Okay, so no, that's not a call site. That's the actual implementation. An editor node. This is the call site from before. This is the declaration. I'm really getting the impression that we are not going to be able to get this data directly. So my janky hacky idea was that we would change the like run arguments. In here we have some arguments, right? We can add some extra arguments. At least I thought we could. Main scene, disable, CDR. I thought we had a thing. Didn't we have a thing? The clean rollback debugger. Godot debugger. I like it. I like it. Thank you, the clean. I think you could probably use that meme for like literally every stream. I swear there's a thing. I swear there's a thing that lets us add arguments to be run when you hit the run button in Godot. So let's say Godot run arguments. Is there any way to run my game with parameters? Well, yeah, okay, but that's not what we want. Run arguments editor. Oh, is there a way to pass arguments in the game when running in the editor? Is that the end of this sentence? When running, no, when running CLI. When running from the editor to editor. Is there a way to run? Open the editor by default. Redline tutorial. Why? Why, Godot? I really thought there was a thing. Maybe maybe it's in editor settings instead of, but that doesn't make any sense because editor settings is global for all your projects. No, it's got to be project settings. Application makes a ton of sense. Application run would make a ton of sense to put this thing that we could add some extra arguments. Custom dir icon. Boot splash. Main run args. Where do you see that? Where do you see that? Main scene. Oh, main run args. Main run args. Thank you. Thank you, Ricardo. It's actually, this is still a project setting. This is a project setting for the editor. So this should be fine. This should be fine. So what if we launch it, we inject replay, and then hit the play button? Can we hit the play button from our thing? One way or another, I think we can, because we can walk the scene tree until we get to this button up here. In fact, it's this button. We can, ooh, that was, so like when I make a tooltip, then the tooltip appears over here. That's kind of cool. And I know there's an easy way to access this area up here because like multi-run is sticking its button in there. Let's see how multi-run does that. Add toolbar button. Okay, so we have add toolbar button, which add control to container toolbar. Wait. How did I get here? Custom control container toolbar. So we get the special method where we can add a control to the container. We can remove a control from the container. Okay, but it doesn't give us a way to just like access it. That sucks. Back to the code here. This is edit current? No. Actually, yeah, this editor run is like very near to the code we need to do. Run editor run editor node underscore run. So what this underscore run feels like a callback. Let's look for underscore run. That's not very helpful. Connect underscore run. Maybe it isn't a callback, but what is calling run? Oh, here we go. Dialog action. Okay, so this thing calls it. Can VS Code do something smart? Go to references. Thank you, VS Code. So run is called all over the place. Run is being called here for save and run. What is this? Dialog action? Can we call dialog action? Editor run, quick run, run play. Run play. That seems like a real method, like an API kind of method. Run play custom. What is this custom? What is that? What does that custom do? Let's just see if either of those methods are bound. Bind methods. Run play. Okay. Clearly they're not bound, at least in any normal way, because... So what is this? What is this? Menu option confirm. Okay. No, that's not helpful to us. Oh, the custom is a custom scene. Run play scene, run play current, run play native. That's like the Android button. Editor run play current, run play custom. Is run playing. I think the only way we're going to be able to do this is by clicking the button in the scene tree. Oh my god, Godot, you're making this so painful for us. We just want to make the coolest network debugging tool ever. Come on. Why does this part have to be so hard? I do think this will be like one of the coolest network debugging tools ever if we can get it to work. Like seriously, to be able to say, I want to go to this frame on this client during this match, and I want to run it in the debugger and go line by line. What happened on that frame, on that specific peer in this match? That is going to be amazing. And we're going to do it one way or another. The beauty of Godot is no matter how hard it makes it for us, we can always change the code. We will find a way in. All right, so we're going to be walking the scene tree. We're going to be walking it. We know this is where we need to get to. How do we get there? We can get editor node. I know we can get this node. Or at least I think we can get this node. Let me make sure we can get that node. Or yeah, we should be able to, because this is the root node below. I think this is what would be considered the scene. Like if we asked the scene tree for the scene, I think it would give us this. And we need to get over here. Oh, and I think actually we can even get this control. Let's go to the docs. Take me to your docs. Oh, editor plugin. This is where I want to be. I want to be an editor plugin. And I believe there's a way to get the control. Editor plugin control. Or not. I thought there was. So this editor plugin, editor script, what's editor script? Base script can be used to add extension functions to the editor. Run method. Execute from the script editor's file run option. I have like literally never used this. This is interesting. Editor interface. What is editor interface? It is a node. Interface gives you control over Godot's editor window, allows customizing window, saving, reloading scenes, running missions, inspecting any resource, objects, access, editor settings, blah, 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 blah. Using the Singleton editor plugin editor interface. Base control. This is the control. Returns the main container of Godot's editor window. Okay. This is, I think this get base control, I think that is this control here. I think that's what this is. So, how do we get this? Editor interface, we get from editor plugin. Editor, what did I mistype? Get editor 1. Editor interface, get editor interface. Editor window and its functionalities. I'm just going to look at editor interface for a second and see if there isn't like play main scene. Folks, how did we not see this? How did we not see this? What else do we get? Get editor viewport, get editor scale, get current path, edit scene, get selection, is playing scene. This is like exactly what we need. Play main scene. Plays the main scene. So we just need to grab whatever the run main args or whatever that setting was, add in our special args, do play main scene, and then go back to normal. Yeah. Ricardo, you always find everything like a second before me. Ah. Okay, so play main scene. So, okay, let's look at our code. How are we going to get this? How are we going to get access to this? Don't save. We are going to go to our plugin GD, and from here we can get editor interface, and we're going to pass it to our log inspector instance, which means we won't be able to use the log inspector the way that we have from the running it as a special scene, at least when connecting to the debugger. So I'm thinking we'll have like two different modes. So let's do log inspector. We're going to be, it's going to be like, I don't know, setup editor. Oh wait, do we have a setup log inspector method? Log inspector. Wait, no. Log inspector. Take me here. Take me here. So what calls setup log inspector? Setup log inspector. So this seems like a good place to pass in the editor interface, but what's actually calling that? What is calling it? Open log inspector calls log inspector pop-up centered ratio. Okay. But setup log. Oh, okay. So we're calling it ourselves here. And where does it get called otherwise? When we're about to show. Okay, so we need to change this a little bit. We'll make this be like start log inspector. Start log inspector. That makes more sense anyway. Maybe we won't have a setup method because there isn't anything else we're setting up. We'll just have like set. Let's do var editor interface. Editor interface. Will that type hint work outside the editor? I don't know. We'll find out. And then let's have a method which just sets that. Func set editor interface. I'm doing this with a method rather than just like directly setting it because maybe this is just like something I'm carrying over from another language, another programming language, but I do not like setting properties directly on classes that aren't like, I don't know, some sort of public API. I like to add little setters for them. Just me. So then from our plugin over here, when we are creating the log inspector, we'll do log inspector, inspector set editor interface, and we do get editor interface. And then over in log inspector, we will do different things depending on whether we have that object or not. So replay server launch game, I feel like Do we want to set this on replay server, or do we want to just pass it in during launch game? Let's go to launch game. Launch game does this stuff. Let's just pass it in. Let's pass it in. So editor interface equals null, because if we don't have it, we'll do things the old school way. So we still need to get this list of args, but we can keep them as a string if we're doing it one way, and we need to make it into a list if we're doing it another way. So we're going to say if editor interface, we'll do some stuff here. Otherwise, we'll do it the old way, which is fine, but can't connect to the debugger. Oh, and this stop game? Maybe we do need to set this in here. Maybe this is where we need it. Well, whatever. Let's just do this like this now. I'll think more about the API later. And so now, we're gonna say our old main run arguments. What was the name of that setting? It was editor main run args. So what's the full path here? Give me the path. Give me the path. If I hover, editor / main run args. So project settings, get setting, editor main run args. And then we're going to do project settings. Well, hang on. So main run args will always be a string because it will have been configured to that type. Okay, so we know we can depend on it being a string. So we're going to say project settings set setting editor main run args, the old main run args arguments. Let's just call this args. Old main run args. Old main run args plus our args string. Then we're going to do editor interface play main scene. And then immediately afterwards, we're going to reset the project settings. Set setting editor. This needs to be a constant. Old main run args. We've used it 3 times. That needs a constant. Oh, we even have some other constants up here already. So const main run args setting editor main run args. Okay. Main run arg setting. Main run arg setting. Main run arg setting. How are we doing on time? Oh, we've gone way the heck over. Sorry, folks. I gotta get going in a second. Let's just see if this works. It's not ideal. It's hacky as heck. Let's try it. And actually, the stop game thing only really makes sense down here anyway. Well, whatever. Well, forget about it. We're just gonna run it. Tools. Actually, we'll have to restart this. Reload current project because we need the plugin.gd to run again. And we need tools, log inspector. It's listening for connections. We launch. It's launching. Are we stopped in the debugger? We are not. Wait. Yeah, it should have run something. It should have run something. Why didn't this work? We'll just add some user logs here. So here's some data. State. It doesn't look like it did it because look, this thing didn't go gray or anything. Hang on. I'm just gonna get something to sort of work before we sign off from the stream. I am sorry, everyone, that this was like didn't turn out to go so quickly or solve the problem right away, but I think we might have the start of how to do it as soon as I can find the right thing to click on. Who's in replay server, right? Replay server. Oh, I think we just forgot to pass it in. Where's log inspector again? Log inspector. Yeah, launch game, and we just didn't pass it in. We just didn't pass in editor interface, which I think is a bad idea anyway. But like, we'll reroute how the data gets there, a different time. Log inspector. We closed it, right? Okay. Now let's launch. And nothing happened. Replay server already listening. Okay. Reload current project. I just want to sign. I just want to sign that this is working. Project, tools, log inspector. It is listening. Launch. And we're stopped in the debugger. We're at a breakpoint. Oh my god. Okay. We know how to do it. We know how to do it. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be hacky. We should probably come up with a PR for Godot to make this not be so effing crazy. But this is how to do it. I'll clean this up, and I will get something working, and we are one step closer to having the greatest network debugging tool ever known to humankind. All right. Thanks, everyone, for coming to the stream. It was super fun. I hope you had fun, too. And I will talk to you on Discord or on the next stream or whatever. Hope everyone has a good weekend. Thanks so much, and bye-bye.